All right, let me step in for a moment and lend my opinion, my point of view on Ultimate Girls Trip Season 2 with the Peacock Network. Obviously, Bravo is doing what they're doing, and then Peacock is streaming, different variety in terms of shows. The first thing we're going to do, of course, we're going to see the trailer. We've seen the trailer, but we're going to rewatch it together and we're going to analyze. We're going to talk about which cast members we think are shining more than expected, because there's a lot for me. Which cast members seemed invisible, and they were exactly who I thought they would be, actually just one person. And then I really just for a moment before we even start, I want to say hello, but I also wanted to say, comparing it to season one, this is why, as much as I get bold and confident about, feeling like I know this, I know that, and I feel like I'm always right sometimes, because I am mostly. I was really shocked and surprised on how well Ultimate Girls Trip season two, centered around the great Dorinda, turned out. Because when you put it up side by side with season one, and I don't really want to go back and dwell, there's a couple things going for you. You have, the physical location is gorgeous where the first cast went. You also had this thing where these cast members were more looked at as all stars, and they're, while nobody is necessarily, and Andy will tell you, while no one necessarily is there to stay, you never know when you're going to come back and get your, your proverbial peach or apple or whatever it is. You always have to work for it. These cast members on season one were more like on a high, like it was their all-star moment. Like they felt like they were the best in the franchises. And to many degrees they were. With the exception of Kyle, who, of course, has never been compelling on any of her seasons ever, 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 which is actually shocking because, she comes, I mean, her husband, just signed a big deal and he's fantastic and he's good looking. But she, for some reason, can't be interesting, which is just, miracles are a thing. Anyways, that's just, she's not my cup of tea. I'm a Kenya Moore kind of guy. I'm a Melissa Gorga heavy in the paint for Melissa Gorga. What you call it? Cynthia Bailey, I love. And I'm not trying to go back to the original season, but I'm just trying to give you how excited we were to see Ultimate Girls Trip season one, because Luann, these cast members, they were like in an all-star moment for the most part. Now, going to Ultimate Girls Trip season two, it was something so different. And I was wrong. I was so wrong. We'll watch the trailer here in a minute, but I was so wrong. I was like, wow, we've got Dorinda, who I love. She could carry a show. She wants to do the show. Of course, Tamra is built for this. But I just was like, some of the choices just didn't seem that great. But I will say that I will stand corrected. I may not have been all the way hip to it. So those of you who love, specifically, we'll get into which franchise it is that really gets me. But I remember being so, if you were to go check on Instagram, people were really loving this group. And I was like, this group does not really do much for me. And now I kind of want to review the trailer, watch it again here, and then kind of say where I was a little bit wrong, or who I think shined more than I would have expected, or somebody who's invisible, like I thought that they would. And that's not Jill Zarin, because I love Jill Zarin. I'm upset she wasn't more, inserted into the trailer. Can somebody tell me why we don't have more Jill Zarin in the trailer? This is why we're here. I mean, the only thing we really got was when Dorinda said, I was on a show you were no longer on. Great line, but Dorinda, I love Dorinda, but I need more Jill Zarin, so I'm a little disappointed by that. But let me just, before we do the trailer, I just wanted to give you the slight vulnerability that usually I'm always like, no, 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 no. Season one was better cast members. Season two is going to be lame. And that's what I really thought. Not lame. I would have watched it, of course. We all watch it. But I just wasn't that excited. But I watched this trailer and I'm so excited. So let me pull up the trailer. Let's watch it together again. And then after that, we'll kind of break down my, I guess, differences of opinion, as I thought it wasn't going to be that great. And now watching this Peacock Network trailer, it's good. It's got a great variety and everyone's playing their position. And this trailer was done very good. I'm very happy for Dorinda. For some reason, it makes me feel like she's the main attraction. Not for some reason, but obviously she is the main attraction. And I don't know. I liked it. Okay, I'm gonna take a minute. Remember to do all the things: comment, like, subscribe, hashtag randomly with Ronnie Jr. if you want to see all of my videos. And let's watch the trailer for Ultimate Girls Trip Season 2. It's so much better than I thought it would be. Ooh.
Of course, I made it nice.
All right, at least I don't do crystal meth in the bathroom all night long.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should, girl.
You have a little family event.
So you want to fight? Let's go.
Enough! Surprise! That's my opinion! Lusto Manor is a very special place. If you enter those doors, something happens.
Why did I just realize that none of us are no longer on any of our shows?
Ex-wife folks.
We're the ex-wives.
Yeah, here we are.
What do you do here?
Get me out of here. We are destroying this town. I'm very turned on right now. Do you want to go to a naked party? Bye-bye, peasant. Where do you have to go to whoop it up around here at?
I can't get dick.
Face of an angel, mouth of a serpent.
Now let them make people act like this. I don't like it.
When my bubble bursts, I burst back. Can you tell that truth? A unicorn's gonna show up.
Birds of a feather flock together. I am not flocking with that bird.
Shut the fuck up. No, you shut the fuck up.
I won't tell you anything anymore about my relationship. How's that?
I was on a show that you're no longer on.
I am social distancing from the.
I can't go to another hospital with you. It's giving me a mangina.
What the is a mangina?
Don't be a liar.
I'm gonna walk away because I'm about to get.
You know, she doesn't book a lot.
We are fighting about stuff I did.
There's a lot of conflict going on with 8 women.
The only conflict is you. What made you think the lady was a lesbian?
Her eyebrows.
These women are nuts.
It's like when girls get their periods together. Ah, that ship has sailed. Vicky, I want to show you how to use a vibrator. I might have to pee my pants again. It's the ex-wives club.
Gotta stop calling people.
One rotten apple to spoil the whole barrel.
Life is but a dream.
All right. Wow. And it's also to show that there's this this competition right now with streaming platforms. Who's going to arrive on top? Typically, I got to tell you, HBO Max to me is always the heavy hitter. But lately, I feel like Showtime has been grabbing quite a bit. And those are a little bit different because those were always premium networks. But like with the Peacock versus Disney Plus versus Paramount Plus, I got to tell you, lately, Paramount Plus, in my opinion, has really been hitting hard. You know, they have MTV's The Challenge. They have MTV's Real World Homecoming, which is kind of like a show we've never seen before. You know, just the idea of being the original reality show, but then dipping back 20 years or 30 years to those same cast members and it not feeling so scripted. That's the one thing with Housewives is it does feel scripted sometimes. It feels like you got this millionaire over here and this one with tons of money over here. They really don't have big stakes, but then they're just like knowing that they have to show up for the show and argue, which sometimes takes me out of it. I don't know if you feel the same way. But then the thing about Housewives is they are all casted different. You know, you do have the lavish, cast members, and then you have the Brandy Glanvilles, who, you know, I like her, but you know, it typically showcases that she's not that affluent in compared to the rest, and so maybe she has to act a little differently on television. And we'll get to her. I'm going to get to my opinion on her. But no, it just goes to show like the whole streaming wars is out. Like who's gonna finish on top. This is something that Peacock Network I think should be cranking out faster. If this was done for so long, we all knew about it. It was already on the blogs and all that stuff. Maybe they could have put it out and then they could have tried another series. Because right now the next thing would be going to an Ultimate Girls Trip Season 3, which is great because it's formula, but like you should have already been thinking about what's the next big thing. You know, what's something that maybe doesn't sit on the Bravo platform, but does sit well or might sit well with Peacock, because that's kind of what it's what it's looking like. You know, I believe all the shows are going to end up on Peacock regardless, but at the same time, they are different. They are faster. They have a unique, even just watching them with the curse words, I think is a little bit different. Anyways, who cares? So first of all, what did you think of the trailer? Were you staunchly like, yes, I knew these were some of the greatest cast members of Housewives history? Were you like that from the beginning? Or were you like me and you were like, oh no, ooh, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Were you feeling that? Like I was a very like, no, I'm not really interested in a lot of them. But I guess let me put a photo up here too. Um, I guess when you look at it and the time that they took and the patience they made us have, we've got something here. So initially, I will first say that Dorinda is just too amazing. In my opinion, she's we've waited. She's came off the show. She wasn't even doing Radio Andy at the time. I think she was, she was Make It Nice with her book. And all of that has just given us this buildup. She never fooled any of us and said, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm gonna go start another part of my life," which she's had some lavish parts of her life, of course. She always was like, "No, I'm gonna keep it funky. I miss doing the show. The show's an exciting thing. It takes up so much of my life. I love to do it, and I want a cast member like that." So kudos to Dorinda. Kudos to Dorinda for if she pitched this or who pitched this or whatever. Sometimes when you are rich, you make more money. So whatever the rental was, for her to have her location being used, I think is amazing. I can't imagine they didn't take care of that. They had to have. But who knows? But even so, Dorinda is just great. I was a little disappointed though, because when I see the trailer and I see the cast members, we got so little of Jill Zarin. And I'm gonna go sort of through all the cast members, but I'm gonna kind of I guess I should say this to you first, just because all of our opinions are equally our own opinion. So if you like something more than me, that's just your opinion. Doesn't mean you're wrong, doesn't mean I'm wrong. So I never of the franchise, I mean, I will say I've never missed a Potomac. I've never missed like a New York. I've never missed like I've missed a couple jerseys. I've never missed a Miami. I was heavy into Miami, but OC and Beverly Hills specifically because Kyle really makes the show boring. Um, I didn't really watch a lot, so I think looking at this cast, I was like, okay, so we have Brandy, okay, Beverly Hills. We have Taylor, Beverly Hills. We have Tamara, who I do like, OC, and Vicky, OC. I just felt like that was a lot of the cast members that I'm not really a big fan of, where I would have rather seen some Potomac girls in there. I think honestly, Gizelle would have been great. Of course, I love Gizelle. I've interviewed Gizelle in person. We're both Virgos. She's amazing. I think she thinks I'm amazing. We're just amazing. That's what it is. And I also think that maybe you would think maybe Wendy, but I think Candace. I think Candace should have been on the show too. So it's just unfortunate that we're not getting all of the franchises because of the casting, or I'm sorry, the programming schedules. But nonetheless, that's where I was going into it. I was like not a big OC fan. But anyways, let's get back to New York. Dorinda, yes, I'm excited about that choice. Uh, Jill Zarin coming in not with much in the trailer worries me because she's such a she's like you would say with Dorinda, she's such a soundbite queen. She could say anything, confessional queen. I think Jill Zarin still has that, but for whatever reason, there's still production, maybe they're still tippy toeing with her, and I just would have wanted to see more. So that's a really honest and fair critique. I'm not mad at it, but I think, Jill Zarin, maybe she didn't make a lot of the trailer because maybe she's more in the humorous side. Lots of humor, lots of laughs, maybe some tears, some emotion. Maybe she's not really getting into the mess. And unfortunately, with the trailer, it's always mess. Hence, Brandy's always up in the trailer. Brandy's more in the trailer than she is on some shows. The seasons. And I don't mean that as a diss. I actually feel really bad that Brandy always comes and does her guest appearances and like sells out a storyline, and it's not a lie or anything like that, but she goes so hard and yet she doesn't probably get much out of it. I always feel really bad for Brandy. And Brandy doesn't need my pity. I like Brandy a lot, but I always feel like, maybe it's her financials in comparison to some of these other cast members. I really don't know. Okay, so that's what I think about Dorinda. That's what I think about Jill. And honestly, I probably would have been okay with seeing another New York housewife. I don't know who. Sonia would have made a really great mix. Sonia's been doing great on the regular series, but we've seen that Sonia's one trick pony scenario of always being drunk kind of becomes a problem. So maybe Sonia with women of her age would have made a little more sense. They made the menopause joke in the trailer, which I loved. And if you ask me, and I think people are so divided with this one, but for me, just me personally, I've always been the older the housewife, the better. It's just like give me some life lived. You need some skin in the game, in order to be a good housewife. These housewives that come on that are like 31 years old and they got their perfect this and perfect that. It's like you don't realize half of the housewives that they make fun of who are a little bit older and they look a little more aged because they are. They've all been that 30-year-old too, and they've all thought, oh, I've got the perfect marriage, I've got the perfect this and the perfect that and the perfect home, and it just doesn't always work out. So I'm not saying I want a housewife that is a cast member that is went through so much that they can't have fun. I'm just saying I don't get amused by somebody who's closer to 30. I'd actually like somebody who's closer to 50 for the sake of casting Real Housewives, specifically Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. And I think everyone kind of feels that, but I know there's a couple of people that are like, the younger the better. The problem with the younger the better is there's 17,000 shows for younger people. There's 17,000 Instagram accounts that are making tons of money by being a 31-year-old hot young mom or something like that. There's so few spaces for us to see a Dorinda. There's so few spaces for us to see a Vicky. There's so few spaces to see even a Tamra. And even Tamra plays young, in my opinion. But I just, that's just my opinion. And, to each their own. If you like them young, great. I like them a little bit more aged. I want them to look just like Jill Zarin. I want them to look just like that. I want them to talk about menopause. I mean, I watched the Golden Girls in the 80s, so I was a kid. And, this is why I come to the show. Anyways, moving on cast member wise. So when we think about Atlanta, obviously Eva really kind of had some slower seasons, but she was always a likable person. And then when she left the show, it felt like her life got even better. Some of the acting scenarios that went for her, seems like she's still in love and just doing a lot of really great things and not really slowing her career down in any way. The radio show that she does. I think that some people could have done Atlanta for 2 seasons. Granted, she was pregnant and maybe not be the most interesting for people because a lot of people thought she wasn't interesting because maybe she couldn't come to all the scenes because of being pregnant, which is a hard thing to say. It's like that's the world's greatest blessing, and so if it happens to happen while you're on a TV show, like, should you be judged for not being, loud and wild on a reality series? It kind of makes me think of just the toughness that it was for Eva. And I think what I like about Eva is you never really got a resentment for her. I think she probably was sad and upset. I think she probably was like, why am I off this show? Like, do you know who I am? I'm like, I'm Eva. I damn near invented the wheel. I mean, not saying she was the first reality star, but what she did on Top Model was a big deal, and she took Top Model to an actual career. And so I guess what I'm saying is the few sound bites that we got in this trailer, I was really I was excited to see Eva be so controlled and so comfortable. And so I'm back, baby. Like it didn't mean that much to her, but you could tell that it probably still meant a lot to her because her what do you call it? The fan reaction those years weren't the greatest. And I'd be really happy. I know I sound redundant. I'm trying to get to my point here. I would be really happy for Eva's sake if this was a season that really gave her a little bit more praise, because again, it really bothers me that she had gotten a little boring, well, quote unquote boring, on some seasons while she was going through some family stuff, but then again, this is the show, and bottom dollar is the dollar, I guess. Bottom line is the dollar. I'm just excited for her, so I don't need to really dwell on the negative, but I can dwell on I'm excited for her. I am. Now this one's the most interesting for me because obviously, as a housewife of Atlanta, I'll give you my when I started watching Atlanta. I watched the beginning seasons. I thought Nene Leakes was the most boring character you would ever put on the television. She robbed She by Sheree's TV show. It should have been a focal point for She by Sheree. I mean, it's like silliness, so silly that like Nene became the show. So to say, I kind of just spot watched the first couple seasons, and I came back to the show when The Great Kenya Moore season 5 came through. Then I was like, okay, we're here. Granted, we still got to watch Nene Leakes, but at least we have our Kenya. Growing up in the 90s, Kenya she really was the moment. People don't understand that, because a lot of times younger people, they'll tell me, well, but this one is getting as much TV appearances as Kenya, and they're basically the same. They're not basically the same. If you came up in the era that we came up in, obviously Kenya's older than me, but I'm like 10 years younger. But I'm an 80s baby. You didn't get to just be on every television show. You didn't get to just be, adorned in that way. And Kenya, in my era, I'm a teenager. She was it. Like, she was fashion. She was, in some music videos. She was in all the movies. Like, she was a big deal. You didn't have social media where you could appear to be bigger than you are. And also, it took probably 10 years with the reality TV marketplace, because reality TV started in 92. Well, on PBS, All American Family was earlier, but still 92 with the Real World, where reality TV stars weren't even allowed to get a real audition because no one took them seriously. So this new world that we have, where you could be a Nene Leakes and you could dominate on social media and on the TV show, and you could get 17 jobs, did not exist. Now they're giving it to anybody. So to say Kenya Moore was different, it meant she was curated in the time of the 90s. Dang, I gotta realize. I have got to realize, I get so, like, I see red. I see red when I start defending Kenya Moore. I was the most pleasant in this little episode here. I was so pleasant right now. Woo. And then all of a sudden I'm like, if you weren't around in the 90s and you don't know the significance, all I'm saying is I love Kenya Moore. Which brings me to my other point. Atlanta, spot watched it. Nene Leakes, uninteresting. She by Sheree, loved her. Kim was funny. Then you get Candy, and you get the great Phaedra Parks. My thing, though, with Phaedra Parks is I'm really a big fan of, if you cross that big of a line as what she had done to Candy, and something that really comes off of the TV show and could affect people's lives in that dramatic of a way, it takes me a very long time to be just okay with it, because now you've got, you got your groove back, and you got your, maybe some plastic surgery. Phaedra looks amazing. See, the thing is, it's hard for me to argue this because I actually like Phaedra, but I'm not a big fan of giving second chances. Okay. And that's where I really think this was a perfect show for her, because even up until recent, Candy's like, I'm not going to do the show if Phaedra comes on the show. And a lot of people think that's like, oh, Candy, who does she think she is? She's strong arming the network. She has every right to. And also, if Candy left tomorrow, she would move on to do other stuff. The premiere of The Shy on Showtime is coming out. She's back in that. Candy's always going to be Candy, and she's always going to make money. But I'm just not a big fan. I think what I'm saying is, like, with the cast members, you're supposed to be able to spar. That's what makes Kenya Moore so great. But I'm got to tell you, when Portia grabbed Kenya Moore and physically touched her, had it been me, cut her right away. I'm not really a big fan. Teresa Giudice, she don't do nothing for me. You gonna throw stuff at me? What did she recently throw stuff at Margaret? Like, I mean, technically she didn't hit her or anything like that, but I just don't play with that. I think the show is about being witty, being smart, being snarky, being in your face. But once you cross these lines with physicality, or you cross these lines with, planting seeds that can really ruin someone's life, in the vein of, what happened with Phaedra, I'm less open for you to come back. And that's why I'm conflicted, because I'm always going to be Team Candy all day, every day. But boy, oh boy, see, and I had to say all that. God, I had to say all that because it's so hard. You don't think. I think a lot of times when we look at these recaps, actually on YouTube, I see a lot of them. Everything is so linear, and the thing is, they're not linear. Things are not linear. Things are not linear at all. It's like very, well, this side of my brain feels like this, but then this I could make an exception, but then this I can't. And so I really wanted to preface by saying, absolutely not. You don't get to come back. But boy, to say that I missed her Southern mannerisms and the way she knows how to just, lean into a scene. The thing about Phaedra, and I hope that by saying this, it doesn't make anyone think I'm like anti-team Candy. And that's the problem with these shows. Sometimes they don't got to be team this or team that. Sometimes they're just messy and complex. And that's what I felt about Phaedra. I think she is going to dominate this show. She is so funny. I could not believe how much I missed her, because as I told you, when I didn't watch regularly, but I spot watched the show. Nene Leakes was so boring that those first couple seasons, yeah, you could bring in Cynthia, yeah, you could bring in Phaedra, yeah, you could bring in Candy. It just the show didn't start till season 5 because of the great Kenya Moore. And I don't know why they put Portia on the show because that was boring as well. But like when I would spot watch and say, God, it seems like such a good show. Phaedra was one of the people on Atlanta that did that for me. So even before, Kenya came through, I always really did like what Phaedra brought to the table. You see what I'm saying? And so I'm not against her coming back, but I was like, probably wouldn't have been in the if I was an executive from the network. I don't know that I would bring her back because I feel like she can make success for herself elsewhere on another network or whatever, but this is still affiliated with Bravo, NBC Universal. And I mean, I guess at the end of the day, she didn't do anything. Well, see, and it's not even to judge. I was about to say she didn't do anything crazy to Candy, but I don't know. I was good with her being off my TV, but the trailer, she dominated. What am I the only one who feels like that? Like this is such a complex situation because I mean, look at her. Oh my God. I think she's great. I think she's so wonderful. Oh God. But I just it's a new day. I always want to defend my Candy. Okay, moving on because like it's not my responsibility to judge any of that kind of stuff. But Phaedra, she's back and it'll be good. I think Vicky will be fun. She's gonna whoop it up. Vicky will be fun, even in the regards of if she's too, um, feels like she deserves or worthy of something more than other people, and she has some confrontation with Dorinda. I think that's great. It's great TV. Tamra is just so perfect for this. Brandy is so perfect for this. Brandy, to me, though, as I said a little bit earlier, I worry about Brandy because she keeps popping into these seasons and not getting paid a ton, and then she turns over the greatest storyline or the darkest storyline or the things that you shouldn't cross the line on, much like Phaedra, really. And she comes back and she doesn't get her due. I feel like, I guess like one part of me is like, oh, she's selling herself short, and then the other part of me is like, can we just have more Brandy? Why do we always have to have salacious? Like, why does it have to be that high when you're dealing with Brandy? So she's another one I maybe would have not casted. So the two that I probably would have not casted were like Phaedra, but of course I'm pleasantly surprised because Phaedra is, she lit that trailer up. And then Brandy, I think, I kind of wish there was a space. I think I heard Tamra once talking to Mellisa Gorga in a podcast, and it was just kind of like, oh, were you ever asked to come back? And it was those things of like, oh yeah, I was asked to come back for like 2 episodes and the contract was this or whatever. And I like people like Tamra that are like, no, thank you. I'm a lead. I don't just come on the show, and kind of, ruffle up some feathers and then not really get my pay and my, confessional and my due. And I think I feel bad for Brandy because you never really get her at a calm pace. You always get her at the highest level, which is of course probably the way that they are always teasing her and here, keep doing this and you're gonna get the series. So there's a part of me that loves Brandy. I don't watch enough Beverly Hills in the early seasons because again, Kyle is very boring. That I don't really know if she ever like crossed the line. I mean, obviously it's a Housewives show. It's really weird. I gotta say, when I was watching the trailer, I was going to do the reaction and review here. I was kind of thinking about how everyone is kind of making these shows like the epitome of morality. Like what's the proper etiquette. Now, Dorinda could give you proper etiquette. Luann could give you proper etiquette. Karen Huger could give you proper etiquette. But the concept that these shows are supposed to be the most refined and like we like the mess, but then when they get too messy, we really are hard on them. I mean, even right now, I was hard on saying, Phaedra, maybe not, but then I really like her. And I just feel like I wish more people, when we watch these shows, could kind of see it from both sides, and yeah, oh, you're on the fence, No. Some of the stuff is complex. You know what I mean? And for me, if I was Brandy's team or management, I would wish they could hold off on her getting a series, getting her own season, and really not always being that messy Brandy, because it is to a degree, or it is completely actually an act. She knows her role is, I'm casted for this. I got to come in here. I got to drudge up all the stuff. I got to talk about vaginas. She's very much like Noella of OC. Although Noella to me actually was a little bit authentic. And not saying Brandy's not. I just think Noella was she was out there, which I loved. But there's a point that I'm just like, when I watch the shows, I'm like, when do the networks ever say stop, or enough is enough, or let's try something new? For the longest, I used to hate, and I don't even not like this lady, but I used to hate when they'd go Kenya versus Portia. And I was like, can we do something different? Like, after some point, we're giving, like, if I was a cast member or the management, after some point, we're giving you season after season after season after season. Even if I've got a spar, so to speak, with somebody else, let's do somebody else. But the same kooky Brandy, it just could get old quick. But as a ensemble, they were great. Did I forget anyone? The only person I forgot was the one I was never really interested in to begin with. Was Taylor from Beverly Hills. And those were those early seasons. And I do wish her well. I do hope that she's moved on. I believe she moved and is happy with the new life. And sometimes you really want people to kind of be in that situation where they're in that new life and not come back to the reality TV sludge, especially that it's so harsh sometimes. So there's a part of me that it may, and I'm not, it may sound like I'm making fun of her, but I'm certainly not. I'm just saying that there's a part of her that I don't know that needed to come back on the show. And again, when we make our judgments, we're making our judgments. We're not balling. These people are balling. They don't need to do the show. Except for maybe Brandy, and that's not a diss. But I guess me, and I'm only giving the hard-hitting questions to me. I'm only doing it because I want to look at it like, if I was managing or if I was a cast member, like, would I come back for this? Like, would I get in this mess again? And sometimes I don't want people to sell themselves short. And Brandy, I wish, and this is actually to Bravo, like, why not bring her back full time? Why not? Why not? She loves to do this. Why not? You have cast members that don't even want to do anything. Bring Brandy back. Don't, she doesn't have to be messy. No more. Anyways, it was good. It was better than I thought. I'm most interested in Dorinda. I'm most interested in Gizelle. And I just was like, wow, they're talking about some funny stuff. Peacock Network is hitting hard. I would like to see what other programs they do start spitting off. I think their first initial touch into the Peacock Network from Bravo has been Housewives, but they should do something with, like, one of the $1 Million Listing cast members, or a different version of $1 Million Listing. Maybe not Vanderpump, because no one really knows what that's going to be, but just really give some additional programming instead of the same thing. I even look at a series like Summer House, which I used to love, but now Summer House just rolls right into Winter House, and Winter House rolls into Summer House, and it's like Paige again, and Paige and Paige and Craig and Paige, and like, it's really non-creative at this point. Not all the time, but sometimes. Summer House specifically, because I was Summer House season 1, episode 1. I was like, oh, this is really good. I love the show and totally love the concept. We can share. I was into it. And then literally the last season, it's been like I almost feel like it should be Paige and Craig should, like, spin off and go create, like, their own thing. I don't know. I tried to be positive. Did you think I was positive? You think I was uplifting? I really did try to be, because it's a great show. That wraps it up for now. I'm excited to see what Dorinda does. Obviously, I guess the question of the day would be, who is your favorite cast member? The other question of the day would be, who did you not necessarily see in the trailer as important, or were you your least favorite? Let's say it like that. And I guess the other questions would be, who would you want to see on a future Ultimate Girls trip, and what location, et cetera, et cetera. but I thought it was pretty good. I'm interested to see, all the Vicky rumors and what's going to happen there. And the one that makes the most sense to me outside of Dorinda is like a Tamra. Like Tamra makes sense. She's and Phaedra is going to be the funniest. And I just didn't know how much I missed her, because I'm a very rigid person. I cut you off real quick, meaning, the thing with Candy. And if I'm Team Candy, like I'm just, Phaedra, who. But honestly, you guys, Phaedra she's it. It's going to be a tough watch and a fun watch. I'm just glad that you watched here with me today. If you want to support, actually, I should put this up here. If you want to support, I do have a Patreon. So that's patreon.com/randomlyRonnie Jr. Patreon.com/randomlyRonnie Jr. If you want to go to the hashtag and see all of the videos, it's #/randomlyRonnie Jr. Oh, randomly with Ronnie Jr. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. I'm so tired. But I wanted to make sure that we at least talk about the show and have a little bit of fun. I hope I didn't shit on your favorite cast member, but I just wanted to have some fun with it. I thought the trailer was great. And if you look at this cast, I think this is a great cast. I like the whole visual. It gives this like spooky, like fall autumn vibes, and Dorinda is just so gorgeous in the center. Phaedra's having her moment, and so is Tamra. Really, that's the show right there, those three. Like I said, my only addition would be more Jill Zarin. I don't know why we don't get more of her in the trailer. And yeah, it is what it is. Okay, so thank you. That was fun. I think it's dinner time. Gotta go.